Hi there, and welcome to my session. Whoops, shouldn't have done that. I will be sharing some lessons learned and discussing what not to do in CT to help you set yourself up for a success. First, for those who don't know me, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Joanna Jablonski, also known as JJ or Jojo. I'm a senior designer and team lead at Hendrickson. We are H&R dealer located near Chicago. I started my adventure with CET Commercial Interiors 15 years ago using the SteelKey Smart Tools extension, and then since 2016 I've been with Hendrickson design team. I was born and raised in Poland, where I studied art and architecture. I moved to US over 30 years ago. I am married to the same guy for over 30 years. I have one child and one cat. My son picture didn't make it to this presentation, but cat named Lulu did. I enjoy gardening and I like food. I like cooking and trying different cuisines. Thanks to my son, I'm fascinated by aviation and I love to travel. Recently, I returned from beautiful country of Portugal and the island of Madeira. And honestly, I would love to talk to you about my trip and share all the wonderful experiences I had. However, this is not why we're here, so let's get started. The inspiration for this presentation came from failures and lessons learned of what not to do in CT. We all want to deliver successful projects. We want to work smarter rather than harder. And we are incorporating tools and best practices to achieve this. The first question we need to consider is whether we are using the right tools for the task at hand. So look at those individuals here. They have the best intentions. They put so much effort. They have a knowledge and using the tools they know about. So they're using water, they're using soil, dirt to put down the fire, but they failing. And until someone uses the correct tool for the task, in case of this guy in the green shirt, who finally extinguish fire. And that's what it is all about, right? Sometimes we know the tool, we have the best intention, but we're not using the right tool for the right task. Another important consideration is that we live in a digital world where we all interconnected. Design and technology must work hand in hand. We no longer operate in isolation. As a designers, it's essential for us to comprehend the consequences of our action and understand what happened behind the scenes in the world, in the IT world, and vice versa. And this presentation is about those important aspects. My first topic are alternatives. But before we move on, I want to mention that I tend to include a lot of information in my presentation, so you can review the PDF without having to listen to the recording, unless you really miss my accent. Also, I am a huge fan of keyboard shortcuts, and I've included them on many pages of this presentation. So, for example, in the lower right-hand corner, you see I'm using O as options to open alternatives window. Okay, let's talk about alternatives and what they are. I love them. They basically different options inside the same drawing. I use them most of the time for design development phase or for my typicals, for my renderings. However, there are the problems, and we need to talk about those problems and understand to be more cautious when we create alternatives. First of all, it is something that Configura introduced, and for developers, it's a foreign concept. It adding complexity to your drawing. So every single time when you need to troubleshoot, basically the IT developers, they are looking at multiple drawings, and if you have multiple extensions, you know, complexity of this is growing. My question is also to extension owner, are they considering and planning for alternatives when using the new features? So as you see, those can create a lot of issues down the road. The second, when you have all those different alternatives in one drawing, how big is your drawing? How many AutoCAD files you have? I open it and all of a sudden I can see that all guest chairs are actually AutoCAD files. So you can only imagine how big this drawing is and how complex it can become. And my third thing, and that is when Jojo is becoming Raging Joanna, is when I open the drawing and my boss will ask me, hey, can you just make the changes? And I open the drawing and I see this. I'm sorry, I can't read your mind. I don't know, is it a final, is it install, is it existing? Which option is the last one I need to refer to? So be very, you know, watching what kind of alternatives when you're using basically your alternatives. So what are the right tools to solve the problem? First of them is to save your drawing as the old drawing. You can create old folder and add a date to the file name and, you know, deal with the clean drawing without losing your previous design. The second option is to create favorites. And actually, when you create a favorite for your old design or your old, you know, before the reconfiguration, what is happening, what I learned from IT is actually freezing all your objects, and you probably not going to have the issue with the drawing. You will be able to open it down the road, and this is the right way to do it. Okay, so how to save and create the alternative favorites. There are different options, and it's all the matter where you're creating and putting that base point. So let me switch right now to CET and show you how it's done. Favorites. So let's say I have one project, multiple floors, and I would like to save this typical as a favorite to bring to the new drawing. I will select my object. In my case, it's easier because I have this set it up as a block. I right click and save as favorite. I will place it in desired folder. In my case, I have a master folder with all my favorites, and I give it a file name. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick base point for replacement, all right? And my base point will be the corner of my office. I will save it. Yes, in my case, I need to replace it. I'm going to my new floor and type F or right click and insert a favorite. I will open it. And my favorite is, because the corner of the office is tied to the point that I selected, it's always snipping to the desired point, okay? So that's first option. The second option, let's say I am dealing with reconfiguration. Client, we install it, but client is considering maybe making revisions. I don't want to deal with and save this as the new drawing, old drawing. I would like to take only this area and just save it just in case if client will change their mind. That never happened. So again, I'm going to select all the objects I want to save, right click, save as a favorite, giving it a name, but this time I am not picking point in a drawing. I'm just keeping the way it is, and it's pointing to point 000, which is my 0 point. All my drawings are set up the same way based on the template, so I know where the 0 point is always, it's consistent. And now I can delete it. I can make all my design I want, but let's say client will be like, yeah, you know what? No, let's just bring what we had. I'm bringing my typical again. And what happened, if I click on this lovely box that's saying use original position, my objects will appear exactly where they were. Lovely, right? Next, let's talk about the JPEG versus PhotoLab images. Did you know your PhotoLab images are saved to your computer? So if the other designer would like to print or will open your drawing, or you will send drawing to different designer, they are not going to see any of your renderings because they are locally on your CET documents. Versus the JPEG will always appear, there is no problem. Yes, you have to re-render it, but they will be there in your drawing. The second problem, if you have multiple pages with many PhotoLab images, it takes longer time to print. So it might take few minutes because every single of those PhotoLab images need to re-render again. By the way, keyboard shortcut for PhotoLab is F2. So let me show you how we can do it different way. So let's say you open PhotoLab using F2, you render your image, and you can actually save it here as your JPEG. Or what you can do, you can right click, and there are multiple options to do it. So first of all, you can insert in a paper view. So I will just click on it and my image just appear on this side in my paper view. I can capture image and then go to the paper view, paste, and it's just basically as a snippet. So if you really don't want to save your JPEGs, your renderings as images, you can use this method, and they will stay here. If somebody will open, it's just the snippet, it's just the image. Or my favorite, is actually to save rendered image and place it in a folder. So next time when the different designer will open, they can, rename it. You can have access to it. You can actually include them in the different presentation. Editable and mesh dialog. Did you know, basically the PGC symbols, when they edit it, they change their appearance, right? And its specific look depends on the extension, but in most cases they are losing their detail, and we don't know where the base is, so we cannot place base in feet and give the specific dimensions to the installer or to the GC. But there is a way to actually change it. And here I would like to also mention that but making your symbols editable, you are increasing the size of your drawing file. So be very careful when you are editing your symbols. Why are you editing it? If I'm editing this because I need to place the base in feed, it makes sense. But if I'm editing 100 chairs because I need to apply this specific finish, maybe you can consider actually using your typical drawing and, you know, rendering it this way. But your overall drawing, it doesn't have to be that way. So now let's switch to CET and let me show you how you can do it. Bring the symbol, make it editable, right? We all know how to do it. And immediately you can tell I'm losing all this detail. So if you go to Edit Graphic Meshes and you open your Mesh dialog box, you select your object, you select everything, usually I select everything, and you go to this box right below, and instead of default, you select outline. What's gonna happen, now you have all these details that you lost few minutes ago, and you can place your base in feet. You have all the information what is happening under your table or with your symbol. Replace graphics. That's the great feature that allows you to change the look of your components of your objects. Most of the time I'm using this when I'm dealing with AutoCAD files and I need to replace them and make them kind of like CET components and have you know, query and part number assigned to it. So I'm also including on this page few sources you know, that you can refer to. One is the YouTube video that Kate Sort created a long time ago, and then another one to Configura support. But also Kelly Tucker is going to have a great presentation. I'm very eager to see it, you know, about the replace graphics. I know only this one method and I would like to share it with you, how it's done in my world. So let's say you have a chair, you would like to have the nice representation of it. The manufacturer provided the AutoCAD 3D AutoCAD drawing, and that's what you did. But you have 100 of those chairs in your drawing. This is the guest chair, for example. What's gonna happen, every single one of those is going to be created as another AutoCAD drawing. So you're dealing with a lot of issues that are associated with it. There is easier way to do it. So if you go to Edit Graphic Symbols and you will select your, you will first select the Replace Graphics, okay? Replace Graphics, and you will first select your AutoCAD drawing, 3D drawing. And believe me, I'm always doing this twice, and I'm undoing it and redoing it again because I'm always mistaken what is the order, the correct order. So I have my AutoCAD drawing and I bring the PGC symbol that you see next to it. So I click first on my AutoCAD and then I'm clicking on my PGC. And of course it's on another screen. So I'm bringing the box that will appear, that will asking me to the option, the rotation, the size. I'm always trying to have something that is very similar in size so I don't have to deal with it. I'm not making any changes and I'm just clicking OK. Okay, and in some symbols you will have this box again and again appearing. But you see what happened here? Basically this, what was the PGC symbol, now it did become the look, it has the same look as your AutoCAD drawing, okay? So what I can do, I can completely delete all my AutoCAD drawings by gone. I don't have anything in my CAD settings and I have only one symbol. I can assign a query to it. So I'm using the specific manufacturer, but you know, depends of what PGC symbol you will use. Catalog, I can put all the information. price, let's say it's $4,000. I have quantity of 1, PK 15, and variant, for example. And I will add it to my query. I will remove my other information, and now it's beautiful because right now I basically have all my information, and when I copy and paste, I can calculate it, I can assign a block, so there are only benefits to it. Obviously everything, when I look at this, everything is blocked, so I can go back to what I showed you before, to my mesh dialog, and I can only select as the outline. And now I can paint it because it's edited object, so I can assign any finishes I want, and it's much easier to manage. I can copy, paste, and it's kind of acting, it's not PGC symbol obviously, but it's much easier to manipulate and deal with it in your drawing. Extensions. A few weeks ago I came across this post from Configura actually, saying you can save your file, you can save on the size of your drawing, your CT will perform better if you don't have all those extensions downloaded. If you don't use them, don't download it. I completely disagree with it, because again, unless you're the only designer who is working in isolation, it's not really recommended. So why? Let's say I don't use them. I don't have the specialty market projects. I don't use the healthcare extension. I don't use the education extension. But what might happen, your boss or you need to open the drawing created by another designer, and you might be asked to change dimension or rotate this table, and you think, hey, it's gonna take me 15 minutes, right? No big deal, I will do it. But you open the drawing and you don't have the extension, so what you see in your drawing are UFOs or the question marks, and basically you need to go back to Marketplace. You need to download your extension. Many times you need manufacturer permission, which sometimes might take time. It depends on manufacturer. It might take 1 hour or might take 24 hours. So be proactive. Download as many extensions as you think you might need. However, I really highly recommend turning them off in extension details, because when you open the drawing that has that specific manufacturer, the drawing will automatically open this extension for you and it will turn it on. You don't have to wait for manufacturer permission, and you can move on. So let me show you how to do it. I have a keyboard shortcut, of course, but you can go to Help and go to Extension Details. I assign F4. This box will show up and you select your extension that you would like to turn it on. So let's say I would like to turn on this one and maybe Ball's Design. And then I will click Return to CET. I have no idea why these days I have to do it a couple times, so it's question to Configura. Let's just give it a time. But this spinning blue circle, it appears, so it means in the background right now my extensions are turning it on, and I will be able to return to my CET and I will be able to access my extensions. So let's check it now. If I go here, I have now Bernhard and I have a Ball's Design, so I'm good to go. Calculation organization. I don't know about you, but I am a control freak, like most of designers. And I really like my bill of materials, my calculations, or BOM, whatever you call it, to be organized in the order of operations. It's much easier to do the double check because you have the logic behind it, and your specs are more organized, and you're not going to miss anything when you're doing your double check or your spot check. So I like them to be organized in the sequence that the product is installed in the field. So I want my panels, my connectors, my tiles, my electrical, and yada yada to organize the same way. In our view settings, it doesn't matter what extension we're talking about. The available options are not ideal, they're very limited, and they only partially organizing the product. What I found out, there are two ways to actually organize them. One is the manual sorting, and it's good. You basically in BOM, you're moving your lines, but every single time when that product will change, so you change the finish or something, they just shift again and they go to the end. So it's not ideal. I prefer them to stay where I put them. And I found out only the comment column is your friend, and it's organizing your data, and every single time when you make the changes, for the finishes, they will stay the same way unless you change the part number. Unfortunately, they are not sieving, so the column, the comment column, it's not gonna, I believe it's not gonna go to your spec. For sure, it's not gonna go to your CAP worksheet. So let me show you the way I am doing it. You can assign a number, you can assign the letter. I prefer to letter because I don't, like I kind of have it in my mind and I don't need to think about this twice. And of course, the keyboard shortcut to open your calculations is predefined by Configura, and it is F9. So let's switch to CET. Let's open my calculations, which I actually have them turned off in control panel, so it's, the software is not creating every single time the pricing when I make the changes, and it's just much more efficient. So I'm typing F9. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, there you go. I don't know why it didn't work. Because I'm presenting probably. Okay, so it did open my bill of materials, my calculations. As you see, I already started organizing some of them. So I'm starting with the panels, and I assign A, letter A, then I might have the different letter for my tiles, but in this case I just don't need it. So I just put everything the way the software organize it. I assign A, then I have another letter C, which I have for my gallery panels. So the next thing I would like to bring in are my electrical. So I just put letter E for my electrical. This is also belong to my electrical. And then I would like to have my work surfaces, right? So I'm assigning F for a flat. I don't know, I like it. And the next letter in alphabet will be G for all my supports. This is part of the supports. This is part of the supports. And next I have my storage. So it's S for storage. I mean, do whatever you need to do. And then at the end, I want to have my chairs. And then in my organization, in my sorting, I actually have the comment at the top. So the comment is organizing, and I click on the comment, and now I have everything organized the way I want this to be organized, and it's fabulous. Let's say I need to make the changes, and I want to show you how to use that manual sort. So I will click on the part number. It cannot be open. If you have this open, you know, extended, it's just not gonna do it. So I just click on it and then I just drag it to the top. But like I said, it's not gonna stay every single time when you're going to make a changes or you will change the finishes. That's why it's not desired for me. Plus, you know, you can organize your specs in CAP worksheet or in spec in your specifying tool. But I like to have it here because it will stay here. And every single time when I have a revision and I need to do the quick spot check, it is already pre-organized and I can glance at it. Okay, this is all aligned. This is all what I want. Just by the way, this is how you turn on those columns. So you open this beautiful Manila folder and you will go to columns and you will look for comment or manual sort and you check it. You can move it the way you want it. So, you know, it can be at the very beginning, but I like to have it after my part number. No, after my the IND tag. I believe that's how we have it organized. So it's a great way to keep control and not having, you know, not making mistakes when you're doing the double checks and you want to look at, you know, organization of your specifications. Okay, so we have an option in CET in our control panel to enable multiple drawings. I've been always taught to don't have this box checked, you know, only one drawing at a time. Let's be real, it's not practical, right? Sometimes we need to refer to the different drawings and I have to open briefly another drawing. So personally, I always have this enable multiple drawings box checked. However, it is very important to not have all those drawings open because having the understanding what is happening in the background, right? Basically each one of those drawings depends how many auto backups and auto saves you have set up in your control panel and how many minutes between the autosaves. Each of them have to stop at some point and say, hey, wait a minute, I need to go to the server and I need to do the auto backup. Oh no, my drawing B now need to go to my OneDrive and actually save it as the autosave. So there is a lot that is happening behind the background that might cause the issues. You only working in a one drawing, but those drawings that are open are still working. And most of all, always close your new drawing that it's opening automatically with when you open your CET. And in this case, please do as I say, not as I do, because I always forget to close that little drawing that is you know, sitting open in my when I'm working in CET. So now my not so favorite topic, data management, but very important for us to understand what is happening with our drawings. I've been always told the best way to work in CET is to work on hard drive, on the local drive, so all those auto backups, auto saves, they're not going to Timbuktu and back, right? It's not ideal because if something happened to your computer, you losing all your drawings or your backups. So there are two different options, OneDrive and server. They both not ideal, but I do have tendency to work on OneDrive because It's giving me a lot of flexibility, and this is more closely, I'm working basically like on my computer. If something happening to the server or we losing the internet and everybody's like, oh, I cannot work, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I keep doing what I've been doing because my drawings are cloud-based and they are saving, you know, I can resave them back to the server if I want to. Recently I have a situation when I forgot to save one of the projects I've been working on. I went on vacation and the drawing was, everything was on OneDrive, and during my absence IT actually accessed my computer, accessed my drive, they pull all the drawings, and the other designer was able to start working on it. The server files for me is just going, you know, like far away, like every single time when the drawing is saving and I'm working from home, they have to go back to the server. And like I mentioned with in the previous slide, they have to stop and they have to just go and run into the different direction. So I will show you how do I have tendency to do it. Basically, I have the project folder created on my OneDrive. And I'm always having my one folder, my folder structure here. So if the new project is starting, I just right click, copy and paste and rename it with my project. Hence, remember, those projects are not small projects. Those, most of the time, those are the larger projects. I'm working on them, you know, through entire day, because if I have, you know, 5 different projects in a day, I don't want to go back and save them back to the server. So most of the time, what I do, I'm working in my OneDrive, and I'm finished, I'm done, and there it's a time to save it to my server. I can do it at the end of the week, but then I don't remember. So I have tendency to you know, work on my OneDrive, and when it's time, when I finish, I go to File, I will go to Save As, and you know, let's just choose one of projects on this server, and I will go to, as my last save, I will go to my server, and that's where I will save my drawing. Please, when you're doing that and when you're saving to the server, please pay attention what's gonna happen here and make sure you will go through the entire process, okay? Because I've seen designers who close the projects before the saving process ends, and they lost their information. They lost their data, they couldn't recover their drawings, you know, like, and it was creating a tons of different issues. So that is the process I like, I recommend it. The last save is always the save to the server, but I'm working off my OneDrive. So my last words of wisdom. The clean start is real, people. It is real. This is not Configura magic they pulling on us. You have no idea how many times I felt embarrassed when I reported something and then I got a simple question, did you do the clean start? And yeah, I did not, and a lot of issues been fixed. So it is real. Before you call, before you do anything, just perform this and see if your issue persists. Second one is to close the new drawing. So auto backups and auto saves are not generating, and you're not creating the unnecessary files that is, you know, basically adding to your file storage. And the last one, use the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, I am sharing with you some of my favorite keyboard shortcuts, and let's show you, for those of you who don't know how to create them. Let me just switch to CET and quickly show it to you. So keyboard shortcut, you can access them through the file, and at the very bottom is the keyboard shortcut box. And let's say I will use no, not this one, tools, maybe the alternatives that I was talking about, right? So let me remove my keyboard shortcut. You will go to the command you would like to assign to it, and under the keys you will type your command. So in my case is O for options, for alternatives, and I will just click assign, and the command that I didn't have before, it will appear automatically. I don't have to restart it, I don't have to do anything with it. So let's go through some of those commands. Okay, let me switch here. One of the first one that I really like is to change and shift between my views. Instead of going to the button, right now is the new user interface, going to the button of my drawing and clicking 2D, 3D, all that nonsense, I'm just assigning this simple command, which I have 1 for single view, I have 2 for 3D view, I have 3 for my split, and I have F3 to go to my paper view. Especially it's very helpful when you in live design, because you switching without every single time spending time and going to your commands. Another one is assigning T for part tagging. Instead of going through, you know what, I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's under the tools, okay? Because I never go here. I never look for those commands that are available, at the top of my drawing. So that is T for part tagging. Another one is M for position. Configura assign R, which I heard come from some Swedish word, and please tell me what it means, because I Google it and I have no idea what it means. So what I do, I select my object, I type M, I select where I want to move, which point I want to move, and then I can actually, let's say I want to move it 72 inches and click on it. So it's very helpful instead of going through the command and going to position. So that is the position, and I have assigned M for remove. And actually I have to tell you, I used to have P for position, and then designers keep telling me, hey, I don't really like it. For me, thinking AutoCAD is M for remove. So I change it and I have no problem. I start using it immediately. The next one, and you're going to love me for this one, because is aligning multiple objects. Okay, so if I select it and I would like to assign at the top, I have to go here to the object, look for align, and then look for the command, and I'm always clicking on something different, right? I have the command. So if I select my object and I do shift and arrow up, no, it doesn't want to do it right now. So I select my object, shift and arrow up, all my chairs are aligning. If I select my chairs and I do shift and arrow to the right, they all aligning to the right. If I select them, shift down, they all aligning down. So this is one of my favorite commands. And then the last one is E. I have it for freeze. Okay, so I select my object instead of going to, again, where is it? I have no idea. It's probably right click or something, because I never use it. I'm always using my command. But the beauty of it is, if I click E again, it appears. Look at that. It's frozen. E, it's not frozen. So I hope you did enjoy it, and thank you for listening to my accent and my gibberish. And please feel free to contact me when you need, when you have any questions. And I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you.